In the heart of Medina, a quiet tension hung in the air. Rumors swirled through the ancient streets and markets like desert winds. Something monumental was unfolding, yet few could grasp its scale. The unthinkable had begun. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had signed a decree for partial excavations on the sacred ground of Jannat al-Baqi, one of the holiest cemeteries in Islamic history. The plan, veiled under the guise of development, was ambitious: to build a luxurious residential complex for elite pilgrims on the outskirts of the Prophet's mosque. The problem was that the cemetery, where the Prophet Muhammad's companions, peace be upon him, were buried, lay directly in the project's path. The decision to relocate the blessed graves was not initially announced publicly, but insiders and a select group of royal engineers began marking out plots of land. Massive yellow excavators were secretly brought to the site, operating under tight security and an information blackout. At dawn on a Friday, under Medina's clear blue sky, a group of workers began digging. The first grave targeted was believed to belong to a noble Sahabi, one of the Prophet's closest companions, peace be upon him. Crowds gathered around the site as whispers spread rapidly. Some were merely curious, others wept even before the first shovel touched the earth. Then, just 3 minutes into the excavation, something defied all scientific reason. A brilliant light burst from the ground. Not sunlight, not artificial glow, but an otherworldly blinding radiance. Those present dropped their tools and shielded their eyes, but it was too late. Many screamed, others fell to their knees. The light grew brighter, pulsing as if emanating from the very soul of the earth. Shouts of Allahu Akbar echoed from all directions. Some guards fainted. Phones slipped from trembling hands. Even seasoned workers, accustomed to the harshest demolitions, stood frozen. The dazzling light not only illuminated the area, but seemed to pierce hearts. Some witnesses later said they felt their sins flash before their eyes, as if they stood in judgment at that moment. A foreign pilgrim, who happened to be nearby, told the media he felt an overwhelming urge to recite the Kalima, as if the light called his soul to bear witness. Among those present was King Salman, father of Mohammed bin Salman, who had come for a ceremonial visit. Seeing the divine radiance and hearing the crowd's cries, the king broke into tears. He turned to his son and shouted, "Stop this madness! These are the beloved companions of our Prophet. Their graves must not be disturbed." Stunned and visibly shaken, Prince Mohammed stood silent. The excavator's engine was shut off. Silence enveloped the chaos. Something divine had intervened. The entire royal entourage slowly retreated, clearly rattled. Medical teams arrived to aid those who had fainted. Religious scholars, previously skeptical, now openly called the incident a miracle. Senior members of the Council of Ulama reportedly wept, later declaring it a sign from Allah to guide the Ummah. What happened that day at Jannat al-Baqi was not just a moment, it was a message, a reminder from the heavens that no matter how powerful a kingdom or vast a plan, nothing can surpass the sanctity of what Allah has preserved. The radiant light, the resounding cries of Allahu Akbar, and the king's emotional breakdown bore witness to the existence of divine boundaries that cannot be crossed. Jannat al-Baqi is not mere land. It is a legacy, a light, the resting place of those who gave everything for Islam. Through this miracle, Allah reminded the world that those who rest beneath Medina's sacred soil are forgotten neither by the people nor, far less, by their Creator. So, the next time you stand before Baqi, remember you are not merely at a cemetery, you are at the threshold of history, under the gaze of the heavens, in the presence of a miracle that shook a nation. O Allah, I ask you for success in all matters, victory at every door, guidance in all endeavors, blessings in all gifts, and your pleasure in all my conditions. O Allah, purify my intentions for your noble face, grant me unshakable faith in you, and complete certainty in your decree and destiny. O Allah, grant me success that astonishes minds, guidance that brings abundant blessings, beneficial knowledge, plentiful sustenance, a humble heart, and accepted deeds. O Allah, O Opener, open for me the doors of your mercy. O Provider, provide me with what I do not expect. O Most Generous, elevate me beyond my hopes. O protector, safeguard me in my religion, my worldly affairs, and my hereafter. Following the incident, all religious scholars, imams, and senior kingdom advisors were summoned. Excavations were halted indefinitely. That same evening, a royal statement declared that no grave in Jannat al-Baqi would be touched. It mentioned the appearance of divine signs and called on all citizens to pray for forgiveness and guidance. But what is Jannat al-Baqi? Why is this place so sacred? Located next to the An-Nabawi Mosque in Medina, Jannat al-Baqi is the resting place of thousands of revered figures in Islamic history. Over 10,000 of the Prophet's companions, peace be upon him, are said to be buried here, including Hadrat Uthman ibn Affan, R.A., the third Caliph of Islam; Hadrat Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, R.A., the Prophet's uncle; Hadrat Imam Hassan ibn Ali, the Prophet's beloved grandson; the Prophet's wives, al-Mu'minin, numerous tabi'in, the generation after the Sahaba, scholars, and martyrs of Islam. The name Jannat al-Baqi roughly translates to the Garden of Baqi, referring to a grove of trees that once stood there. It was the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself, who designated this area for burial. He personally visited and prayed for those buried there, making it a symbol of spiritual closeness to the Prophet and an eternal haven for the righteous. The Prophet, peace be upon him, frequently visited Baqi, especially at night, praying for those buried there. In one hadith, he said, "Peace be upon you, O dwellers of the graves, believers and Muslims. Verily, by Allah's will, we shall join you." The miraculous light that appeared during the attempted excavation was seen as a divine sign, warning humanity not to encroach on the sanctity of the sacred. Scholars cited hadiths and historical accounts where the Prophet, peace be upon him, spoke of the honor of those buried in Baqi, stating that the earth itself would testify to their piety. In one hadith, the Prophet was seen weeping for Baqi's inhabitants and praying for their forgiveness. Scholars reminded people of a narration where the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "May Allah have mercy on the dwellers of Baqi." In the days following the incident, something even more mysterious occurred. A group of pilgrims claimed to have seen glowing figures standing by the graves under moonlight. According to witnesses, these figures were dressed in white, reciting Quranic verses in soft, resonant voices. Some even recorded faint sounds of these voices, though they faded like the wind. Others reported the air near the graves was filled with the scent of musk and roses, despite no flowers being present. The Saudi government quietly expanded Jannat al-Baqi's boundaries instead of reducing them. Plans for the residential complex were entirely relocated several kilometers away. The Royal Commission issued an official statement calling the incident a lesson in humility and divine wisdom. In response, Muslim scholars worldwide organized online conferences, sermons, and gatherings to honor Jannat al-Baqi and reflect on its history. This incident became a symbol of divine protection, a clear message that the legacy of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions is beyond human interference. Articles were written, documentaries proposed, and an international symposium on preserving Islamic heritage was planned. Today, passing through Jannat al-Baqi's gates, many pilgrims pause in silent reflection. They recall the day a light burst from a grave, safeguarding the dignity of those who devoted their lives to Islam. Some leave with tears in their eyes, others quietly recite surahs, and others raise their hands, praying to be buried in this blessed land. And as the sun sets behind the Prophet's mosque, casting a golden hue over the cemetery, one thing remains clear. Jannat al-Baqi stands untouched, forever protected by the sacred.